Welcome to Points West at the start of the weekend. And our main headlines tonight, nothing to celebrate. The events industry that's fighting to survive as parties and events are cancelled.
They're now looking at least 12 months with no earnings because we're effectively banned from working. So the outlook's pretty grim.
Also in the programme tonight, testing times. Patients raise concerns over the lack of home testing kits for COVID-19. Plastic fantastic. A Wiltshire company becomes a world leader in recycling polystyrene.
And we'll be meeting the artists from Easton who've just completed their very first public commission.
Good evening. The events industry says that it's almost on its knees after a summer of weddings, festivals and parties were cancelled due to the pandemic. Wedding guest numbers are now restricted to just 15 as the government tries to reduce the COVID infection rate. But many businesses have told us that they're worried about surviving. Our Gloucestershire reporter Steve Nibbs has been speaking to people whose livelihoods depend on people celebrating.
This should be the time of the year when the events industry starts to take a breather before the Christmas parties kick in. But the team behind this mobile bar haven't worked at all this year. And as for 2021...
We've had no bookings at all, so there's no confidence really from anybody to book any of them because they're just not sure where we're going with it. You know, it seems if you've got bricks and mortar, you're fine, but our events industry has just been forgotten about. It's like the government's hit the pause button on us and forgot to hit play again.
There was optimism up until this week when the government reduced wedding sizes to 15 and talked about restrictions lasting 6 months. It was a hammer blow to the sector. And many businesses still fall through the gaps in terms of grants and benefits.
One of the reasons I think that we're perceived as non-viable is because we're not being allowed to put into practice any COVID-secure guidelines. And in fact, in many ways, we're very similar to the hospitality sector, and we're more than able to implement the same guidelines that they are. We just need to have a go. And all of us are viable. We just need a bridge to the other side.
Jessie runs a wedding and events business and says this isn't just about the individual companies affected, but the knock-on to the wider economy too.
We have been repeatedly trying to explain how much our sector is worth to society as a whole, but economically, and to come up with creative, constructive solutions to get us back working. We employ thousands of self-employed sole traders and freelancers every year, thousands upon thousands. We've had three small weddings since this pandemic broke out, and we've employed perhaps 15 people.
Jessie has now launched a campaign called What About Weddings to support businesses and couples planning for the future. But in the industry at the moment, optimism for that future is running out.
People are going to be burning through cash reserves and using borrowings to get through to next year. The hope for the industry was that we could start taking deposits from clients, but without consumer confidence, where do we end up?
Steve Nibbs, BBC Points West, Gloucestershire.